Haley Jefferson, how are you?
I'm good, Maddie Cock. How are you?
I am good. It is a lovely day. Been out on the beach today, which is
What a
glorious as
treat.
always. I
Sunny.
know. Yeah. So my height of summer, I've lived near the beach for nearly 3 years, and it's scandalous how little I go on the actual beach itself. Because I'm like, well, it's there. It's there when I need it. So went on today, and it's
Do
bloody
you know
marvelous.
they say about Manchester where I live? They say everything but a beach.
Everything but a
Manchester's got everything but a
beach.
beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. You don't need a beach, but it's nice when it's sunny, which is quite rare. But it was very nice,
Yes.
and there's
It's
some
probably
lovely
not
little
sunny when
dogs.
people are listening to this. Sunny when we
Yeah,
recorded. Probably
yeah,
raining
that's
while you're
it.
listening.
Yeah, you're looking out the window, being like, "What day
It's
is
like,
this?"
this is not live.
Oh, this is not life. So we were having a chat, Haley, and something came to light which we've both been told, which is really, I thought this was really weird. So I thought, let's have a little chinwag about this. Me and you have both been told by different people on different occasions that we are the type of people who start things but don't finish things. Now, mine, mine was from my beloved dad, Big Roy. Shout out, Big Roy. And he said, "We are starters, Maddie. We are not finishers." And I thought, oh, maybe that's the case. There's some things I've finished, but many, many more things that I've started. And we talk a bit about procrastination. Big ADHD vibes that we both
Yes.
have. And our lovely listener, you might actually be procrastinating by listening to this very episode. I know that we did when we planned it. We do lots and lots of
We went
procrastination.
off on
So,
a Vegas side quest.
oh yeah, what? Yeah, a Vegas related side quest. Um.
Yes.
So yeah, tell us your side. Who did you hear this off? How was that for you?
I heard years ago, like years ago, from an old flatmate of mine, just said to me, and it wasn't in a fond way. It was kind of in a slightly frustrated way. You're always starting things and you don't finish them, and I was
Hmm.
like, I don't know what's wrong with that. It was like, oh, is that a bad thing? Because
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't really think
tough.
it was a bad thing. I
Yeah.
actually hadn't really noticed that that's what I did. But something really interesting happened to me when I was a therapist in the sixth form college that I worked in for 3 years. I had a brilliant boss there because I was part of the learning support department. And I didn't know I had ADHD then, but that whole department dealt with um, all the neurodiverse kids,
Hmm.
learning difficulties in the college, all sorts of things.
Hmm.
So my boss was very switched on and really smart. And she said to me one day, "Oh, I'm a starter, not a finisher, Haley." And she just said it like about herself. And I thought, are you allowed to say that? Like,
Is
is
this an
that a thing?
okay
And she was
thing?
like, yeah, this is an okay thing. I thought, oh, amazing. I mean, I can start say if she can, who can say it? I can say it. And it
Oh,
was like she was like, yeah, I'm an ideas person. I don't do,
yeah.
I have to get other people to implement them. And I just thought, I'm an ideas person, but I'm not very good at implementing things.
Mhm.
But it made me realize that being an ideas person is a great skill and you don't have to
Yeah.
be able to do all of it. And so it was very permission giving when Sue said to me that those years
Shout out
ago.
Sue. Love
Yeah,
her.
and I started framing it as okay from that point on.
Yeah.
Whereas before that, I felt a little bit of shame about it
Yeah.
in the way that had been presented to me. Yeah. So, should we have a conversation about how procrastination shows up for us and how, people that we work with as well, like the common things that we're hearing? I'll
Yes.
go
I mean,
first.
how long have you got?
Yes, this could be a long episode. I think one of the big ways I see it show up is people putting off doing things with their accounts and their taxes, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Kick it
For
down the road.
me, yeah, kick that down the road. January's problems. And I see people even doing stuff like not saving the money, just like really getting a bit
Mm-hmm.
denial even about that sort of thing. But procrastinating, but how I'm quite good now with my taxes and stuff. I've got pots and I'm organised and all the things. But I'm a bit rubbish at matching up my zero.
Is
Like it's
there any
painful.
task that I cannot bear more than reconciling accounts? That as soon as
It's so boring.
Aidan joined the business, I was like, lad, I've got a
Here
job
you
for
go.
you. That's the first
I
job I give
can't
them because I
seem to,
hate it.
yeah, I can't seem to give it anyone I've tried. My VA was like, I do that. And I was like, I just don't think you can.
It's
Because I'd
just,
have to give you all the information to do it, and I might as well have done it myself by then. What
I know,
happens to me
it's
is
painful.
I open it and it'll say, you've got 300 things to reconcile. And I think that's too many. So I put it away. And then the next time I open it, it says, you've got 400. I think that's too
Oh,
many.
God.
And so it kind of builds. And I've had phases where I'm very on top of it.
Yeah,
I got into a habit of doing it every week, but it just falls away.
yeah.
So
That's a
it's
big one.
awful.
It's so boring. And it's
It's so boring.
if you've ever had to reconcile, you basically have to have everything get to zero. That's the aim. And if you press the button and it is zero straight away, you feel like you've won the freaking jackpot. But
Yeah.
sometimes I was once was like, you're out by like £4,000. I was like, what? Like,
Oh,
how is this? And if you take things like we take things in different currencies, like that messes it up. The dates, the PayPal drops it in. It's just the most misery
yeah.
making thing. So yeah, that's something
What
I
does my
used
head
to
in?
just chuck that over. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, what does my head in about it is you have to do it in order. I think it's a flaw because I want to go through and do all the easy ones first,
yeah,
that are easy, that are just like, yeah, that's Canva, that's Kartra. These are
yeah,
things I
yeah,
use all the time. I don't have to go and find receipts for. If I could just do all of them and then go back to the
yeah.
ones that I need to find receipts for, it would be better, but it doesn't let you. You have to do it in order.
Can
It
you
makes me
set up?
mad.
Just total side note, can you set up rules? So I use QuickBooks and you can have rules. So mine says like if it has the word Canva and it's 10.99 or however much Canva is, it just automatically does it. So we just try and make every month. I'm like, right, which of these could we make into a rule, especially for subscription stuff? So that one automatically
Yes.
like
You've
allocates,
got to
but
do it.
you've got to do it. And it's
You've
like
got to
that thing
do
where you're like,
it.
I'll just put them through now. I'll do that later. I do this with
I'll do it next
emails.
time after the next
Yeah.
400.
Well, I
Yeah,
think,
my accountant said he's
yeah,
going to help do a bit with it, sort it out for me. I'm also
yeah.
moving from Zero to QuickBooks.
QuickBooks is so
Um,
good. And then I can
yeah,
help
I
you.
did Zero because I got a deal with my bank account and all of this. So I just did it because it was
Yes.
easy. But yeah, my accountant's going to
QuickBooks is
do a
good.
lot of it for me, he said. So
The
anyway,
dream.
that's our misery.
What about fannying about with design type tasks? So things
Who needs a new
like,
logo?
oh, I'm going to do a new logo. I'm going to rejig my logo. I need to spend 6 months agonizing over a color scheme and get all
Yeah.
my codes.
I need a new
I'm going to do
price
my website.
list.
Yeah, like all of this stuff, just like total procrastination, really. Like, yeah, there's obviously, you need a website. Well, you don't need one, but yeah, you might want one. You might want a logo, whatever. But
Hmm.
my God, can this become a time suck where you're like, I'm just going to spend another
Yeah.
hour on here instead of the actual
I was
stuff.
a bit more guilty of that in the earlier days of my business. I'm a bit better
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah.
I've definitely had clients say things to me like, I can't put my prices up until I've designed a new price list, and then
Yeah.
given me a load of other reasons why that was hard.
Yeah.
And it was to do with printers. And I just was like, just put your prices up, like
I
just tell
know.
people.
I've just literally been
Like
doing this. That's why
do
I'm
a
laughing
digital, but
because
like, yeah, that you don't need to go to a shop and print them out anymore.
yeah,
It'll
I've
just be
been
fine.
waiting. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna not procrastinate, and I'm gonna do because I've set up this year the Maddie Cook stuffs to work with people who want to do online education, and I was like, oh, I'll not procrastinate because I'll hire someone to do the branding and the design for that. Shout out to lovely Rosie Casson who's done that. So then I was like, oh well, I can't post carousels because I can't. If I post them and it's not the right branding, then they'll not look right. So
It'll be
by
awful. It'll be
in
terrible, Maddie,
it,
won't it?
the world would stop turning. Let me tell you.
I know.
So by trying to save time on being efficient in one way, I then created this big inefficiency and just didn't post for like weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
All of those sorts of things. I think there's this other thing, isn't there, where it's like procrastinating.
Yeah.
Do you know, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do all these courses
hmm
before I do that. So I think
Yeah.
sometimes people feel active because they're doing a course, but
hmm
sometimes I think doing a course is procrastinating from what you really should be doing.
Yeah,
But I think there's
definitely.
this really clever thing that happens with procrastinating where, because we're busy with something, we trick ourselves that this counts.
Yeah, I'm
But
doing
with a little bit
something.
of delving and a conversation
Yeah,
with me,
you're
you
not
might
doing it.
realize that you're actually procrastinating from really moving forward. It kind
Yeah.
of can keep you stuck on the spot. And so I do think that if you're sort of person who does endless courses, you
Hmm.
might want to have a little think about, if you weren't doing these courses, what would you be doing?
Yeah, and are you
And would it move things
implementing the things
forward?
that you're learning because you can do all the courses on earth, but you don't actually
Yeah.
get results or learn even or lock it in, I don't think, until you go, okay, I've just learned how to do this. Now I'm going to go
And
and
now I'm going to start the next one.
practice. Yeah, yeah. We don't. We go, I'll just do one more course. Um,
Yeah.
in the same vein, procrastinating. This is one of my favorite ones. So my procrastinating, I'll give you a real example. I bought a ginormous yearly wall planner because I was adamant and was like, you do know we have just like Google Calendar and you can do this. And I was like, no, no, no. I must see the entire year at but a glance. And I had it on, it was like A1, it was massive. And I rolled it out and I had it on the floor. Then I bought these little tiny circle,
Wall
different color
stickers.
stickers. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, blue is a Facebook Live because blue reminds me of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow is a holiday because of the sunshine. And
Mm-hmm.
I did it and I did it and I wrote down everything that I had planned in, and then I never looked at it again. And I never
Yeah,
wrote
I've got one in the
looked at it
cupboard.
again. And then I had to do it all on Google Calendar, which is what we use.
I
And I
don't
mean,
know
that
why
was
it
like
doesn't
a
work,
full
the wall
day.
planner.
I
Yeah, because
know.
I thought it was going to work as well. I've got pastel stickers. I bought the wall
Got all the
chart, and I
gear.
don't know. I just thought, don't know, it doesn't speak to me.
Yeah.
It's too complicated. I think it was
Yeah.
overwhelming when I looked at it.
Yeah, like to be fair, it did do it. It did do a job in that I looked at it and was able to go, okay, this is some visual space that I've got. So, like, yes, we could go away in this time or whatever, and that's kind of. But I could have very easily done that by just
Mm,
skipping through Google Calendar. I have also been known to print off um a month by month calendar and just lay those on. Honestly, it is just like I also print off.
yeah.
This is terrible for the environment. I sound very, very sorry, environment, but I print off worksheets for like every course that I do. I am a pen and paper person, and I think it goes in my head more if I physically write. So I do think there's like a benefit of that.
I was just thinking about this. I might defend the procrastinator organising just for a little minute.
Oh,
I mean,
please do. Thank you.
I do think it's procrastination for sure for some of us.
Yeah.
But I also just wonder if in that minute where well, not a minute, probably a couple of hours that you
The day.
spent doing your year wall chart, did you just kind of organise your ADHD brain in the morning, in the moment of what you had on your plate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes you've just got to do something like that to absorb the
Yeah.
information. And so I might defend that a little bit. But
That's
I
good.
think,
Yeah.
procrastinator organising, though, it's just like buying highlighter pens,
Organising your
you know.
cupboards
Yeah,
in
I
your
need
house.
more stationery. What I need is a
Yeah.
new planner and a pad. It's even just shopping for the stationery, isn't it?
It's so
It's all
joyful, isn't
sorts of
it?
things.
I love
And
those
I
memes
think if
where
it's
it's like, this is the planner, the 517th planner. This is the one. It's going to change your life, Haley. This is where it all
this
falls
is
into
the
place.
one.
Yeah, your
Do you know
brain will
what? I am
change.
not about the. I am not about the planners, Maddie. I don't
I
think I've
love
ever
it.
bought a planner. I
I
feel
love a
like I just know
notebook.
it's not for me. No, have you do you
You've
buy planners? Have you done?
Oh, if I could spin, I won't because it's you would just die to see it. But I literally have like a whole. I've got like a Kallax like IKEA here, so I've got four big lever arch files there from different programs that I've done. In fact, there's two more planners. I can see about eight planners from where I'm sat.
Josh.
I currently have like about four different ones on the go. I've got one next to my bed in case, nothing's in it in case I have any great ideas. They
Mm.
don't come because I fall asleep so quick. But yeah, I do love a planner, but then the problem is that I will leave that planner or notebook at home and then someone asks me something when I'm out, or I get a Slack message from someone on the team and I'm like, that's written down and I don't know where it is. And it's honestly, I've got like a whole
Welcome
notebook
to
with
my
all of
life.
my call notes for the last like year. And it'll be cool one day to look back and be like, what was I doing in 2024? oh, I had a call and this is what we talked about, but like objectively useless when it comes to keeping me organized. I am just starting
Mm.
to use something called Notion, which may be a future
Oh yeah, I've seen
hyperfocus.
that. I
But
don't look
also, I
like it's for
might have
me.
just spent last night just filling in my little daily tasks in my to do list, and I might have done a little procrastinating organising last night. So
Yeah,
watch
I
this
don't want an
space.
app telling me what to do. I'll rebel.
Oh, it's not that one. That's Motion. That's a different
Oh,
one. I did download
ugh,
that,
I feel
and
like no, hard no.
I think it's a good idea in theory, but it doesn't work when you have like fixed. I might just set it up wrong. Fixed things. So like it would, you need to be able to say I can't move the podcast recording, but I can move my walk. But it just sort of
Yeah.
rejigs everything, and it was just
Oh no.
it didn't. Even though it's meant to be like ADHD friendly, I didn't like it. But Notion,
Sounds too
very
hard to set up.
confusing,
Yeah.
is just like it's kind of like a highfalutin Apple Notes, but you can put like images in, you can have like
Mm,
tick boxes, and you can like cross reference to things. And
yeah. I like
so
how
I've
we've gone off on a mad side quest here, just totally about
procrastinating, aren't we?
about
Classic.
procrastinate organising. We're just deep diving. This
We could
episode's
do a
now
whole
about
episode
procrastinate
on this.
organising.
I love it.
One of the one thing that comes up a lot when I'm coaching people um, is that a way people procrastinate is by um, being in a never-ending research phase. And so sometimes
Yeah.
people will say to me, "Oh yeah, I've not decided on that yet because I'm researching." And then it's like, "How long have you been researching?" 2 years. And it's this thing of again, it's a bit like the procrastinating, the procrastinating organizing. You can trick yourself that you're being productive because you're researching and you're
Yeah.
deciding and weighing up your options. But I think people can start spinning on the spot in this
Yeah.
decision making. And I think sometimes with procrastination, you're sat there and you're like, I'm on YouTube, I know I'm doing it, I know I'm procrastinating. But I think sometimes you're not quite aware that you're doing it. You've tricked yourself that you're being productive. And
That's
so,
the
do you see what I mean? There's
sneaky
like,
one. Yeah.
yeah, there's a couple of different types of procrastination,
Well, it's less
you know,
painful, isn't it? Like, there's nothing worse than the procrastination that you know that you're doing. That for me doesn't feel nice
painful.
when you feel like
It's
stuck on
horrible.
the sofa and you're looking at the pile of
Yeah.
washing or whatever.
You're
So
scrolling and you're
maybe,
just
yeah,
thinking, this is
I'm
miserable.
in a
Why am I
scroll
still doing
hole,
it?
but I'm
Yeah, it's
still doing it.
awful.
Yeah, but yeah,
Awful.
the research phase, I don't really have this. I'm like a super fast decision maker. I'll just be like, give me two options, right? I'll go pick this one. Aidan's a decision maker, and I don't know if I told you this story, but once he spent so long deciding on a TV for our old flat, that by the time we made the decision, they didn't sell that TV anymore. So he'd like wait up all the different, and I was like, now could you tell me what size our TV is, what definition it is, all of these things that were on your list? He's like, I haven't got a clue. Just it's on the wall. I watch football like
Yeah, I'm with
that.
you. I,
All I
I
needed.
discovered about myself a really long time ago that I get very overwhelmed with too much choice.
Same.
And I used to find it quite paralyzing when I was younger. And so I think one of the skills I just sort of developed was not to give myself too much choice.
Yeah.
I just don't do it. Like, I don't look at things I can't afford. Do
Yeah.
you know, like if I'm buying a new kitchen, I
Yeah.
don't start surfing Pinterest for
Yeah.
kitchens I can't afford. I go to B&Q
Yeah.
and I
Just
look at
go
the kitchens
filter.
and I pick one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go,
It's a good
I
idea.
can probably afford things in B&Q, and then I just pick one. I
Yeah.
don't go to every kitchen shop in the world, but I've got friends who probably don't listen to this podcast. So I'll tell you, but tie themselves up in knots like Aidan for a really,
Yeah.
really long time. And I think it's the procrastination research phase, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally. And I think it's like maybe people don't want to make the wrong decision that feels hard for them. Like they're worried about messing
Mm-hmm.
something up. If maybe there's a bit of perfectionism, which I don't think I wouldn't like identify myself as a perfectionist. I'm just like a fast make a decision. If it's wrong, I know it's wrong faster, so I can get closer to
Yeah,
making a
me
right
too.
decision. That's
I
how I
think
kind of
so.
work. But it's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
in sales psychology. So it's something I teach inside of Elevate, which is the sales and marketing course I do, and it's called the paradox of choice. And it's like people hate having loads of choice, so we're better off to just go, especially if you're thinking of your service menu, like, do you want this or do you just want the upgraded version? Like, don't give
Yeah.
clients like 50 variations on a haircut, or a million different options for nails. It's like, do you want the basic? Do you want the fancy version? Like,
Yeah, I
that
call
should
it
be it.
Super Nanny in it. Do you remember Super
Oh
Nanny?
yeah, I
It's one of
do.
my
Yeah,
favourite programs. Super
that
Nanny
was
used to
great.
say to the parents, give the
Yeah,
kids two choices.
yeah,
You know, like, don't let them choose their clothes when they're 3, but
yeah,
make
yeah,
them feel like they're choosing. Hold up
yeah.
2 outfits and go, which one do you want to wear?
It's
1,
such a good
2. And
hack.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, and these kids think they've got choice, but really, it's like, which one of my choices do you want? But however, I think about Super Nanny in it all the time, and I
yeah.
just don't weigh myself down with too many options because it doesn't pan out well. It makes me miserable because I
Well,
do get
actually,
paralyzed.
yeah, it's too much, isn't it? Like, and back to your point you said right at the beginning about like the visionary. If you think of people like, you know, what do you call? Why am I thinking Apple? I was thinking Tim Cook. That's current Apple. What was Steve Jobs? I don't know why his name
Is that
dropped
Steve
out my head.
Jobs?
But Steve Jobs famously wore like the same thing every single day, like millionaire, billionaire, whatever, same outfit every single
Yeah,
day.
decision fatigue is real.
Yeah, and he wasn't the implementer. He just went. He just said a thousand songs in your pocket, and everyone was like, "What? Like, how are we meant to do that?" He said, "I don't know. That's for you to work out, like engineers." So, I
Mm,
think we can channel a bit of, the big dog visionary dudes. I would love to just wear the
yeah,
same thing every day. That'd be my dream. In fact, I do really. It's like
yeah,
athleisure various cardigan.
yeah. I think I do really as well.
I don't like too much choice. It's too hard.
Versions of the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Our hyper focuses.
Versions. Do you know when I was hairdressing them, I kind of made myself a uniform. I had about
Yeah,
6 outfits that I rotated.
yeah. Too much to
I
think
have
about,
figured
isn't it?
out ways over the years to reduce this thing that, this research phase, the
Yeah,
too many choices situation,
yeah,
because I know it really wears me down. And so I always say this, Maddie, down that path madness lies.
yeah. You
And I
do.
know
It's
that
a
it
great
does.
Haleyism.
And so yeah, this is what I do. So, what do you think? How is procrastination impacting you, your clients? What do
Yeah,
you think?
I think it just keeps people stuck. That's the phrase that I hear so much from people that I coach is like, I'm stuck. So they know like objectively I want to be in this different place or I want these different results or this different reality, but it's that, like you said, it's spinning on the spot. That's the feeling. Like
Yeah,
I'm wading through something. It's hard, but I'm not getting any further. That's that feeling. What about
yeah,
you?
yeah. It's frustrating, isn't it? I just think it's that. It's
Super frustrating.
frustrating for the person, particularly when you know. I think when you know you're procrastinating, it's frustrating.
Yeah,
But I also think it can be frustrating for the people around you.
yeah,
Um, when you're procrastinating, but maybe more like when you don't realize that you're doing it. But I just
yeah,
think sometimes, we do impact other people in the world. We impact who we work with, our clients, our partners and families. And sometimes our procrastination is frustrating for other people because they're
yeah,
waiting on our decisions,
yeah. Or I
So
think
there's that.
sometimes it's like when I feel frustrated when people say, I want to do this, and they even know this is the steps that I want to do, and then they don't do it. And you're like, you've already said this. Like you've said, I want to get healthy or I'm sick of feeling like this. And they go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing, I'll do 10,000 steps or 5,000 steps,
Mm,
whatever. And then you'll speak to them and be like, oh, did you do, how have you been getting on? Oh, no, no. Because I'm looking at the best leggings to buy. I need
yeah,
to get the correct leggings before I start doing this. And it's like, it's
yeah.
more frustrating because I think that 6 months that's gone past you could have been you telling me that you want one thing and then doing a different thing. But it's very easy from a
So
third party because I know that I will do the same thing as well.
I think it's really interesting. I think about that as the difference between coaching and therapy,
Yeah,
because coaching's all very action. That's why I
yeah,
say I knew you'd like it. It's like coaching's like, what you're going to do, what you're going to do, tell me when you've done it. And then therapy's really a lot of the time talking to people who are stuck
yeah,
and can literally be stuck making no decisions for months, if not years.
yeah,
And that thing of what, and you've got to unpick what's going on that you're not taking this
yeah.
action you say you so desperately want. And it's quite hard, to sort of hold that space for someone who's
I would be
stuck.
far too frustrated. I actually said this to my
Yeah,
therapist. I was like, "How do you?" Like she was laughing, and she was like,
yeah,
she said the way that I make decisions and take action, she was like, it's like abnormal. She was like, I've worked with people where they've come on day one and said, look, I'm stuck with this. And 6 years later, they're still coming every week or every fortnight, and
Yeah.
nothing. They've intellectualized the hell out of it. They understand every facet of it, but nothing has changed. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying you every fortnight to go away and come back and
Yeah.
have the same things. I'm going to do as soon as I come off the
Yeah.
call, I'm like, right, what we're doing. But maybe that's why I
Yeah.
love
You're very
coaching as
motivated.
well. Yeah.
I think, but I do think that's the difference between coaching and therapy. And I think,
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is with me, I mean, I call myself like a coach these days, really, but I think my coaching sits somewhere between coaching and
Yeah.
therapy
Yeah. You've still got a bit therapist in you, for sure.
because people are stuck often when they
Yeah.
talk to me, and I'm trying to move them towards the action, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with the stuck phase. It's
Yeah.
it's what I did for a long time.
And I'm sure you saw this both in your kind of therapeutic background and currently coaching, but I think we can get in like a shame spiral, and especially that procrastination where, like I'm
Yeah,
saying, you're frozen to the couch, you know what you need to do, or you're in the scroll hole, you're in Netflix. I think that can
yeah,
feel shameful because you kind of think, well, what's wrong with me? Like, why? I know what I need to do. Why can't I do that? That's not a nice
yeah.
feeling.
It's awful. I felt like
Yeah.
that as well sometimes.
Yeah. Same.
It's just like I think it's like a shame span. And there's kind of a sadness that comes with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I notice when I'm doing it, and I just think I've got so much to do,
Hmm.
and I've got myself into an overwhelmed place where I'm literally just scrolling, and I'm not even
Yeah.
having a good time.
No.
And it just starts to feel
Yeah.
sad. And I think, why
Yeah.
can't I just get up?
I know. I know it's
It's
hard.
really hard, isn't it? I
Hmm.
think so. I think that all of this as well impacts people in the way that it creates chaos.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've
Definitely.
created chaos in my life through procrastinating for sure.
Yeah.
And my clients talk about that sort of thing a lot as well. And so I
Yeah.
think when we're putting stuff off, it creates chaos.
Well, yeah, like we say, we kick it down the road. There's still a you in the future that has to pick up the pieces, and there's no worse than feeling pissed off at yourself because you're like, I was
Yeah,
sat
it kicked too
scrolling
much
when,
down the road.
yeah, I should have done this. And I see as well like a financial impact. So I've seen people call this like ADHD tax, but I think it like links to procrastination. So things like, oh, I haven't filed my accounts on time, or like I didn't reconcile my accounts, and now I
Yeah.
haven't filed them, and now I'm getting fined by HMRC, or I haven't, I've procrastinated on scheduling my social media, and now I'm financially impacted because I'm not seeing bookings because for the last 3 weeks I've not been posting anything. So I think there can be a real like tangible impact to the procrastination. That probably doesn't
Yeah.
help with the shame cycle stuff either, to think it's a bit like
It all
it's me,
feeds
I'm the
into
problem.
itself.
Yeah, it's all of us. So
Hi.
but I'd hi, but I'd love to know from your perspective, like why do we do it? Like why do you think that we do procrastinate?
I think it's just things are boring sometimes, Maddie, don't you think?
Hmm.
Like I procrastinate on
Yeah.
my zero because it's boring. But I
Yeah.
think procrastination is a lot of it's rooted in like delayed gratification versus instant gratification.
We want to do the fun
And
stuff now.
sometimes we lose to
Yeah.
instant gratification. And I
Yeah.
think some of us are wired where it's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Like we delaying gratification is harder for some people.
Yeah.
I
I
just
find
think
it
that's how that goes.
yeah, I know that I find that naturally difficult, so I have to be like super conscious of like,
Yeah,
I know this thing won't feel good, so can I do another thing that makes me feel good at the time that I'm doing this? So I get some gratification, but
all
it's
of these
not.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think there's lots of different reasons. But I think
yeah,
delayed gratification and instant gratification is definitely one. What about you? What
yeah.
do you think?
I think it's like it goes back to confidence as well. So I think it's like being fearful, not being confident to do the thing. So, let's go back to that person who's procrastinating by, oh, I can't post on socials until I've got my branding, or till I've got my logo or something. Um, Maybe that's actually rooted in I don't want to be visible, or I don't want to share my perspective, or I don't feel comfortable doing this,
Yes.
or some
Yeah.
sort of fear-based thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, and when I post, what'll happen?
Yeah. What
And
happens
so it's
next?
like, if I make this post and it's brilliant, will the floodgates open? Can I cope with the results? Like, will I be
Yeah.
an overnight success, you know, like some sort of fear of, if I take this step, I'm not sure I can cope with what comes afterwards. And I
Yeah.
think that can keep you stuck
Yeah.
and procrastinating.
And
Yeah,
it's
looking
so
at your
funny
logo.
because I think people always think of like the fear of failure, but I think there's totally a fear of success. Like there's people who are like repellent of that. You know, I don't want to go viral. Like, what if I do this post and
Yeah,
what if my inbox is too hard to manage? And what if I start
yeah,
missing messages from clients? And
hmm,
what if my
yeah,
website crashes or I just can't cope with,
yeah.
like, with it
I
going well?
totally had this fear, Maddie, at the beginning of my business in the really early
Did
days
you?
of the resilient hairdresser. It's quite funny. Um, I was thinking about doing something or other. I don't even really know what it was now, but I was thinking about doing something that felt quite brave to
Yeah.
make me more visible.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. And I was chatting about it with one of my clients who's a life coach. And she was just like, what do you think is going to happen? And I said, I worry that it will work. I will get visible and then I'll be overwhelmed because, you know, and now in hindsight, how I would put that is I didn't have enough infrastructure in my business to deal with the high demand.
Yeah.
And so I was worried that if I did this brilliant idea, it might actually work. And then I'd feel panicky and terrified and fail because I
Mm.
didn't have the stuff to give the people yet. That kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
I get that, like that fear of success. I mean, it makes quite funny to me now. Success has not come overnight as yet.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, my business is successful, but in no way has it ever been. And it's been a very
It's manageable.
manageable and,
Yeah.
yeah, slow process. But that's actually been brilliant because at no point did I think, oh shit, I can't cope with all of this. I have,
You
you know
weren't
what I
that
mean? And so yeah, it kind of makes me laugh that I thought that might happen now,
it is funny.
because
It's
that's not how
Did
it
I
panned
tell you
out.
the story of I feel like this came up when your hyper focus many moons ago was Oprah's Christmas list. But there was
Oh my
some
God.
story
Oprah,
about
Oprah's favourite things, Maddie,
yeah,
favourite
like
things.
sorry, Oprah. Um there was some story about something similar. So it was either like it was on Oprah's book list, or this person didn't know that they were going to get featured by it was either Oprah or someone like absolutely massive, and they went out of business because they couldn't fulfill the demand. The like website crashed. They had all these orders put through. They couldn't like deliver
This
on
feels
what this thing
familiar.
was.
This
Yeah,
feels familiar, this
but that
story,
like people would
somewhere
be
in my
like, oh
brain.
well, I don't want to. I don't want to tweet because what if Kate Middleton shares me
Yeah.
post and then I get like 6 billion
Yeah, and
orders or
then
something like.
100 million people want the dress and I've only made 4.
So I
It's
better
this sort of
just
thing,
not
isn't it?
share them. Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's true, you know, all of that. Yeah, I just think the whole thing's crackers, isn't
yeah.
it?
Hmm.
So I think another thing that's interesting is I think mentally we're hardwired to follow the path of least resistance as humans.
Yeah.
Like our brains and the synapses in our brains want to connect easily, and
Hmm.
they're like, oh, I've done that before, I'll do it again.
Hmm.
You know, it's the path of least resistance. And I
Yeah.
think it's not helpful all the time. I think it does keep us safe, but it also stops us getting out of our comfort zone is the best way
Yeah.
I think we can put it. You know, I think sometimes procrastinating is our brain going, it's dangerous out there, staying here in the
Yeah.
comfort
Yeah.
zone. And
That makes
sometimes we
sense.
do have to do something new.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit more energy and a little bit more risk and a bit more bravery and all those sorts of things,
Yeah.
doesn't
It's
it? And
hard.
so sometimes I just think we get a bit too comfy in the comfort zone. And I
Yeah.
think the longer you stay in it, the harder it is to get out of it. I mean, I talk about the
Totally.
comfort zone quite a lot in a class that I do about confidence. But really, you know, the key is to be in and out of it,
Mm. Yeah.
not
You don't want to
not
be like
always out of it.
wildly
That's
like jumping out of
stressful,
planes. Yeah.
but not always in it. It's a little,
Yeah.
you know, in and out
Dot
situation.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Hmm.
sense. So
Yeah.
what can we do? So if someone's listening to this thinking, oh my god, this is me, I'm doing all the procrasti, learning, organizing, branding, this, that, and t'other, what are the next kind of steps for them?
I think you've got to really think about what kind of procrastination you've got on your hands. And so,
Yeah.
are we talking like launching your business, making a website,
Yeah.
or are we talking like more day to day stuff? Like I just call it adulting or
Yeah.
self care. Like, are you putting off going for a run or having a shower,
Yeah.
or are you putting off building a website? And they're different things, and I think they need different approaches. And so, and I think, I mean, I'm doing a version of all of those, but they need different solutions. And so I think with things like, I don't know, let's say launching a website, you've got to break that down into, you can't just build a website on your to-do list. Like, that's just never going to get done. It's too overwhelming. And so you've got to break that down into all the steps that it needs to build a website, and then just do the
Do
first
one.
one. I always think it's about, sometimes don't think about the whole project, break it down, and then just do the first step, see what happens,
Yeah.
do the next one. That kind of thing, really.
It's that phrase, isn't it? Like, don't picture the full staircase, just take the next step. Like, that's because I feel like I get really
Yeah.
overwhelmed with big projects where I'm like, it's
Yeah, I
huge.
do.
And
Yeah.
usually it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be, or hard. And it's always mint when you do it and you think, why did I put this off for so long? But yeah, it's smaller. I do my
Yeah.
post-its where I'll be like, I'm just going to write every step in the order, and then I can
Yeah.
like scrumple one up when I've done it. You know me,
I
my little post-its.
sometimes just think this step would be helpful, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah, I
even
need to
really
do
know
this.
what's going to come next. But
Yeah.
sometimes if I just do something, so I'll obviously do the thing that feels fun in a
Yeah.
project. Like when I was doing my ADHD course, I sat on it for ages because it felt overwhelming. And then one day I just did a couple of things, and then it started to take shape in my brain a bit better. So I'm also a bit of a just do something and see what happens sort of person.
Yeah, definitely. And I know, is it Mel Robbins who does the 5 second rule thing? So it's like in that decision making moment, she's basically like, if you give yourself enough time, that part of your brain, the bit that wants the comfort zone, will talk you out of it. So if you can like, and I had to do this when I started going to the gym, I had to like launch myself out of bed on my first alarm.
Yes.
And then I put my like gym gear literally beside my bed. So I was like wallowing from it. I was like, the minute I jump out, my legs are in my, like I'm in my clothes. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do the thing, because otherwise your
I
brain will
like that.
start
5, 4,
going.
3, 2, 1, do it. Like a
Yeah,
launch
it's so
pad.
fun
It's
and it's a nice little
interesting.
ADHD vibe.
Yeah, it totally is. And I think it's so interesting. I had all these ADHD hacks for years, but I didn't know that's what they were.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
how I'd figured out living. But when I
yeah,
was a therapist for the teenagers,
yeah.
they used to talk to me about all sorts about like getting out of bed and how overwhelming it was. And I remember saying to them once, don't lie there thinking about everything you've got to do that day and mustering up the energy for all of that. All you've got to do is muster enough energy to get your feet on the floor and stand up.
Totally.
And then you worry about what's next once you stood up.
Yeah.
I was like, just think, quick.
Yeah,
And it was
just
like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
And then once you're stood up, you'll probably go for a wee. And then
yeah,
you've been for a wee, and then you'll probably think, oh, I'm going to have a coffee. Like,
yeah,
you'll figure it out, but just do
yeah.
something. And that's how I write courses.
Same for me. It's the momentum, like you were saying. You find maybe it's the first fun thing, and I think sometimes doing a little bit of the organization actually triggers the momentum to then go, okay, I'm actually going to start doing the proper stuff now. So like I do when
Yeah.
I plan curriculum, like one of the things I always use post-its. So I think, right, the first thing I'm going to do is I've got an extended dining table. It only ever gets extended. In fact, it only ever gets used when I'm putting post-its on it, pretty much. So I go, right, step one, lie under the table, pop that open, get my post-its out, and because they're like fun physical tasks.
Yeah.
And then I'll write, week 1 through 12. And then I'll go, right, I'll see if, what would be the absolute first thing that I need to teach this person? What's the last thing? And then it all just starts coming. And then once I can visually see it, I'm like, oh, that's reminded me of this, and I need to put this thing in. And you can get so
Yes.
much done. But it's definitely the momentum. And I think the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of just doing that first thing, or the most fun task, is like such a good shout.
For sure. The 5-second rule works really well for like adulting and self-care, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, get in
yeah,
the shower,
definitely.
get on the
Just
Peloton.
turn
I
the
mean, that's
shower
how I
on.
get on the Peloton. I just go,
Yeah.
just do it. Just get
Yeah.
on the Peloton. Don't think about it.
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
the next
Don't
thing
talk
along.
yourself out. Yeah.
But I think, oh, don't think about it too much, Hayley. You'll never get
Yeah.
on.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think I'm really a fan as well of rewarding yourself.
Oh, say no more.
Yeah. So how I manage to do stuff all day is I make deals with myself that if I do this, I can then watch 20 minutes of Modern Family,
Yeah.
or whatever. I use 20-minute comedies
Mm-hmm.
as reward all day.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I really get into work, but sometimes I just think, oh, I did that really boring task. Now I can watch a TV show. But sometimes when I get started, I end up doing a few hours. But
Yeah.
in general, that works really well for me, rewarding myself
Yeah. Same. I'll
for
be like, I'll have a
procrastinating.
coffee,
Yeah.
or I'll walk around the corner, get a nice iced coffee when I've done my 3 emails. But yeah, usually once
Yeah.
you start doing them, you're like, I'll get the coffee later.
Yeah, like if the magic happens, I'm gonna do it. But
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't, and it's like a
Mm.
painful thing of boring task
Yeah.
TV show, and that's how the day goes.
Just
And
ping
sometimes
between the
it kicks
two.
off the momentum. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
It's a good call though. And I think,
Mm.
a massive, massive thing for me was to your initial point about this not necessarily being an implementation person is hire implementation people. So
Hell yes.
honestly, like the people that you guys never see or like even hear about often in my team who are the implementers, I could not physically live without them. I couldn't run the business without them.
No, no.
Um, it's just amazing. And there are just people who are great at that and that's their thing. They wouldn't call themselves necessarily like visionary people. They're like, I just love to do this
They're the
stuff.
finishers.
Yeah, or I
We're the
love to do
starters,
other
and they're the
people's stuff.
finishers.
Yeah, so finding
Yeah,
those people and for those of you behind the chair, like you can hire people to set up your booking system. You can outsource your bookkeeping, your accounts, your payroll. You can get a website designer, branding designers, like all of this stuff that you're struggling on that isn't super like high stakes, or you just sometimes I'm just not good at stuff. I'm like, there's a person who is better at that
yeah.
than me. Let's just pay them. And I do a whole thing on a masterclass that I run, the Smart and Not Harder masterclass about like leveraging the value of your time. Like hiring a
Mm,
cleaner is honestly like if you can go out and make 30, 40, 50 pounds an hour, even 20
yeah.
pounds an hour
Why
behind
are
the
you cleaning your
chair,
mouse?
why are you not paying someone 15 quid, 20 quid to clean your house? Why are you then coming home after work and doing that?
Yeah,
Um so yeah, the
unless you love it.
implementers, yeah, if you love it, if you're an absolute like freak who loves cleaning, then fine, but not for me.
Mm.
Yeah, get people who can do those tasks.
I think another thing that really works for me and that I talk to people about a lot is I think sometimes we get into this all or nothing mindset, and this is really an ADHD trait as well, the all or
Yeah.
nothing, where if we think if we don't do all the task, we're going to do none of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, let's say it's like I get on the Peloton, when I'm doing it, I'm in a not doing it phase. But when I do it and I get on it for 20 minutes, I do the 20-minute rides. I can't cope with 30.
Yeah.
And some days I just haven't really got that in me. And instead of not doing it, I find the 15-minute
Yeah,
rides.
that's so good.
Or I just make a deal that I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do less
Mm-hmm.
than normal. And that'll have to do today. But I still feel better that I did a bit
Mm-hmm.
than I did it all. And so I think sometimes accepting that a smaller version of the job is okay and
Yeah.
it's still moving in the right direction is a good thing. But this I'm
Yeah.
either doing it or I'm not doing it thing can really make you not do it.
Oh, totally. And
That makes
I
sense.
was such a person who said, oh, I'm the kind of person who's all or nothing. And I had to like consciously be like, I'm not going to say that about myself because the nothing part was really not helping. And I was speaking to Connor Doyle actually about this, or he'd done a post and I was chatting to him about it. And it was like, you can have a habit for like 100 days and then you miss it one day. So like for me, I got this like 12-step skincare thing going on. And then I was traveling and I didn't do it for one day. And I was like, well, I'll just never do
Oh,
that again.
that's
Where
over.
yeah, where really what would be much
Ruined
more
it.
helpful is like, if I've broken my streak, then I'll just never go on to Duolingo or I'll not walk or whatever. To
Yeah.
just go, okay, I did miss that day. Either I can just pick back up, or could I just do like a 1-step or a 2-step or just
Yeah, like
something
when you go
in
away,
between?
could you make it a 2-step
Yeah, just
and have
anything
that
to
sort of
keep.
deal, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Not just
Something.
switch off and yeah, that and again, it's kind of like momentum. Like when I go on holiday, I still train, but it's like nowhere near the intensity or the timing that I train at home. I'm just like I'm just going to turn up to a gym, do so, even if I
See
just
what
do like
happens.
3 reps or
Have a
something, and then
chat.
I'm like, yeah, and it's because it's I like to just keep it ticking along, but not in a way that it has to be top end intensity or zero at all. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it
and
stops you doing nothing. I remember
yeah,
when I used to see my PT when my back was just getting better, I said to
mm-hmm.
him, sometimes I'm going to come and we're just going to chat
Yeah,
because that's the mood I'm going to be in.
mm-hmm.
And but the fact is that I came because if I don't come, I'll never come back.
Yeah,
And he was like, all right,
that makes
we can
sense.
do that, Haley. And that's what
Yeah,
I would do. Sometimes I'd just be like, I'm not feeling it today, but I came
yeah,
and I
I'm
just
here.
talked to him about what I might do when I get
Mm-hmm.
home in the week. But something's better than nothing is the point here, isn't it?
Oh,
And
totally. Yeah,
this all or nothing, it's ruined if I break my
mm,
streak. It's not
it's
it's
really
not
not.
helpful.
No, it is.
No,
It
middle
limits
ground is
us.
fine.
Middle
Yeah.
diddle is okay. And I think I saw a post, I can't remember who it was, but it was loads of them floating around about like choose your hard. And I think, I think there's loads of similarities with fitness and business, and it's things like, and only because I've experienced having back surgery, like and we bonded over having such an awful back. Like that was undeniably one of the hardest things I've ever endured. Like every time I had sciatica, I've like crawled to
Oh,
answer the door,
don't.
like
Yeah.
crawled upstairs to go to the loo, all of this stuff. And I just think that was really hard because I didn't choose the hard thing beforehand, which was stretching, walking regularly, adjusting my chair,
Reducing my hours at
reducing
work,
my hours, having an assistant to help me
exercise, picking
exercise.
up a
Like,
weight.
yeah, so now I'm like, okay, it is hard to get up every day, and it is hard to go to the gym when the weather's shit, when it's cold, when you want to be in bed, when you've not slept particularly well, and it is hard to to like eat better when you just want to eat delicious cruffins and pastries all day. But it will be hard. It will be much harder later if I don't do these, because I've lived through that and I've experienced that. So
Yeah.
like everything's hard, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to do little, not that hard, like minorly hard things, fairly consistently as I can manage, to avoid the big hard
You'll do
later.
anything to avoid sciatica once you've had it, won't you?
Oh my god,
It's
yeah,
one of the worst.
horrific.
But I think that really what you're talking about there is the instant gratification
Yeah,
versus delayed
delayed.
gratification
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's like the
exactly
other
this.
side
Yeah,
of it, isn't it?
yeah,
If I do this now, I won't have to deal with that later.
yeah,
And really grasping that. And I think that sometimes, like, fear of going back to a certain place is what keeps you on track. So
yeah.
for me, my version of that would be my mental health. Like I've
Mm,
had really bad depression
mm-hmm.
and I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
It's grim.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's things I do for myself, like it's just not negotiable for me anymore because I
Yeah.
know if I don't, where it goes and
Yeah.
I don't want to go there again, And
Like
so I think
financial,
that's,
like yeah, like
yeah,
I've been in like mountains of debt, like in a really dire financial situation. I'm
yeah,
just like,
me
I'm
too.
also not going to put myself there. That's a really good point. Like sometimes you have to experience the
Yeah.
shittest version to be like, okay,
It's
what
a
are the
real
little tasks
motivator, isn't
now?
it?
Yeah,
When you've
definitely.
crawled your way back out of bad health, financial
Yeah,
problems, or mental health issues, there's a real motivator not to go back there, I think.
yeah. So take our word
Yeah.
for it.
Choose your heart.
Do the
Yeah.
smaller hard things now. Don't get into all of that to
Yeah.
have to learn this lesson, learn our lessons
Yeah, don't learn it the
without
hard
that.
way. It's awful.
Well, a very long
So,
episode on procrastination, as expected.
we started
Ironic.
procrastinating in the middle of it about all
Mid.
sorts.
Oh, so
So,
funny.
should we do a little quick and punchy
A quick
hyper focus then,
hyper
maybe?
focus. Yeah.
Okay,
Quick.
I've got one.
Go on. Super fast.
Recently, Maddie, this
Yeah.
will make you and Aidan joyful.
Okay.
I watched Taylor Swift's Eras tour because it came
Yay.
on Disney and it was free because
Yeah.
it was like 25 quid or something on the other one, wasn't it? And it came on
Yeah.
and I thought, oh, I'm going to watch this because I like Taylor. I wouldn't say I'm
Little
well, I
Swifty.
would have said I'm not obsessed. You and Aidan are
Yeah.
obsessed. And I always think, yeah, she's great. Like Taylor, know a few
Yeah.
songs. And then one day I was just making I had to make a PowerPoint or something. And so it was like not hard work. And I thought, oh, I'm going to put the Eras tour on in the background. Oh my God. I didn't make a PowerPoint. I just stared at it for 3 hours and thought, this is literally the best thing I've ever seen.
It's so good.
She's great.
Yeah.
What a tour. What a gig. I bloody loved it. I had Spotify by the end of it so I could get all her albums in one go. I started like Googling when did she meet Travis. Like I've just gotten fully on board.
You're in the
And
Swifty
yeah,
sphere.
I got very swifty, and then my Instagram started playing ball and throwing up everything
Yeah.
as well. And
Mm.
so yeah,
Well,
that.
I love to hear it, and you made me laugh because you messaged me and you said, "What are Aidan's favorite Taylor Swift songs?" Like you weren't bothered about mine because actually I
Well,
wouldn't even class
Aidan's the
myself.
Biggie fan, isn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't class myself as a Swiftie because Swifties are very, very intense and deeply knowledgeable, and I don't have the knowledge that these guys have. I am a big fan. I've been so lucky to go to 2 shows of the Eras tour. I've got another one, so I'm going to Toronto in November, which is
Oh,
like
and here's me still not
outrageous.
getting a ticket.
Oh, mate, I know you need to come with.
Can't get one.
Um, oh yeah, I had to like practically like sell a kidney to go to the first one. Like,
I didn't even get a code, Maddie. Couldn't even
oh
get a code.
no, we got resale for LA. I was just like, that was the biggest like, let's not think about this. Let's just put this through
Let's
and
not
deal
think
with
about
this
the money.
later.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pay for it.
Yeah, my thing is, well, I don't have kids, and then I put the payment through. That's my excuse for everything. But I love it. Welcome to the gang. Let's do some friendship bracelets. Let's discuss the outfits.
Yes.
Let's talk about
All
the
of
red
that.
herrings. I'm excited for this.
She looks great in those glittery
She does a hell of a show, man.
leotardy things, doesn't she? Like
I
she
think
looks
we
cracking.
should
I think
get into
I
that.
watched her and I thought, this is a woman in her absolute prime.
Yeah.
Don't you
Oh
feel
my
like
God.
she's absolutely in the prime of her life?
Yeah, like when I
She's
saw her in
banging.
Edinburgh, she said it was the highest occupancy that the stadium had ever had. It was like 70,000 people at Murrayfield. And she just trots around like I feel like I'm gonna whitey if I have to talk in front of like 10 real life people. I'm like sweating and like cotton mouth. She's just like walking around, like engaging as if you're like the only person in the room. I watched people like burst into tears when she did the surprise songs, and it was, oh my God, actually in LA when she did the surprise songs, one of them was Exile, which is one of our favourites. Aidan lost his shit. I thought he was going to like launch. We were sat
I would
on
love
the.
to see Aidan losing his shit.
Yeah,
over
because he's
Taylor.
such a like
you need
placid.
to film this.
Yeah, he's like such a like placid guy.
Exile.
And,
what album is that on?
So that, oh my God, don't ask because it's either Folklore or Evermore. I always mix them up, but it's with.
They're both very good. Like
And
I
both
like
came out
those
pretty
two.
much the same time. So
yes,
it started on the piano, and we were on the front of the section, like up in the gods, and we had like the glass perspex thing, and he just started hitting it with just sheer excitement. I thought, if you smash that and we fall to our death, and we don't even get to hear Exile,
that's so funny.
I'd be raging. But yeah, it was
That's
so funny.
I think about you and Aidan at these Taylor Swift gigs, and I think, do you think everyone just looks at these two tattooed people and think, what are they doing at a Taylor Swift gig?
When we saw
Why
Harry,
these two punks here?
when we went to see Harry Styles, we also got the train to Edinburgh, and the train, the lady who does the toasted tea cake and everything was like, "Oh well, you're not going to see Harry Styles," and I was like, "Yeah."
You're like,
and she was
what
just,
do you think these feather boas are for, love?
Yeah, I know, in my glittery cowboy hat. Yeah, and people are always very surprised because we don't, I guess, look like classic Swifties or Harry Styles fans,
folk.
But we can do it all, you know. We can go to the pub
good
shows
music.
and go to see Taylor Swift. You know, I'm a multifaceted person like that.
We're complicated.
We're complicated, many layers to us. Mine is super straightforward. I think you'll love this.
Go on.
It's called Cam Snap. You'll probably start getting ads now that your phone's heard that.
We've said it out loud.
My lovely friend Grace from Grace Innocent Bones got me one for my birthday. It's a camera, and it mimics an analog camera, but it's digital, so you can't see what you're taking a picture of. There's no like there's no like screen.
It's like the 90s.
But it makes it look like it's taken on an old camera, like from the 90s. And then, but you can take hundreds, and then you plug it into your computer. So it's this joy of like, I can't see the photo that I'm taking. We can't wait till we get it perfect. You just point and shoot, and then you just plug it in and hope for the best. And I took it to LA, and so many of the pictures had my finger or like a water bottle over the front.
I'm just sat here thinking, yeah, I don't want to go back to that. Like, I literally
Yeah.
lived through this. I've got piles
Yeah.
of photos that are terrible.
Yeah, but now, Hayley, like, I don't drink, so that's a joy. That I'm never going to get
Yeah.
on cam snap absolutely like shit canned.
Did you never live through the digital camera or the
Yeah.
like disposable camera
Yeah, if you go back through
phase?
my
That I'm like,
Facebook, there's like one night out, you know, it'll be like Friday, October, you know, 2017, and there's like 50 million digital camera pictures. But it's just very sweet and nostalgic, and yeah, she got one
yes.
for me, and my other friend who's got the same birthday, and it's
So
just
what
lovely.
is it? Is it an app or a
No,
camera?
it's a
Like, what is
physical
it?
camera, so it's a camera, and you just come home and plug it into your computer, but so you don't
So
have
it's
to.
just a camera.
It's a
It's
digital
what they used to be
camera,
like.
yeah, but it's
It's just yeah.
but the photos it applies like a filter, so it's the style of a normal, like an old school film camera. That's the word I'm trying to think of. But
Right.
you
So
then
I've got
don't
one of
have
these in the
to.
drawer, Maddie.
You then don't have to send your film off and buy film and
Shall I
wait
bring
for the
mine to
physical
Vegas?
cameras. Yeah,
Right, to
you
Vegas.
need to show me yours, because I think we've got the same thing. I'm like, this is a new invention.
I'm like, I've got this. I had a camera in, I don't know, probably like the noughties.
Yeah.
And it's a digital camera, you know, plug it in your
Yeah.
computer, all that thing. But it had like filters on it.
But
And
can
so
you
you could
see the picture
change.
after you take it? Does it pop
Yeah.
up? You see, you can't on this. That's
Oh
that's
yeah,
the thing.
you could flick through and look, but
No,
you could
yeah.
also put filters on them
Oh
to
no,
make it
this
look like a Polaroid.
this has no
or stuff.
choice. This has no. You can't see it
Okay.
afterwards, because otherwise I would have noticed.
Yes.
Maddie, you putting your finger on the thing, or Maddie, you putting your water bottle over the lens. So I've got these
Yeah, so it's
pictures
like a
of
combo
yeah,
of a 70s camera and a noughties camera.
yeah, and then you just plug it in.
That
Go.
you
I hope
can't
for the best.
tell,
Hope these
but
look okay, and it's a nice little
I
dopamine
see.
surprise when you open the file.
Yes.
But also, you don't have to faff
I
about with
get it.
film and development and all that jazz.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get it.
So there you go.
Yeah.
My very quick one was like a 10-minute discussion on camera technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I might dig my digital camera out the drawer. I look at it every time I declutter and think, what am I going to do with that camera?
I know, but you need to leave it. I know. It's like this old phone.
It might become a fad.
It'll come
might
back.
become a fad. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if it works. We'll have a look. Anyway,
let's call that a day 1 hour later. Special
yeah, if you were
procrastination
procrastinating by listening to this, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
For the length of the episode that got you out of doing whatever you were doing.
How funny. Right, I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week.
See you next week, Maddie.
We'll see each other next week. Trap.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments.
Please support those who support us, and check out Timely, who we recommend as our favourite booking system for you. New customers can get 50% off their first 3 months with the code COFFEE50.